Bill is fantastic to work with. Now you get to see why he was the type of character that he was in #1.
It's very cool to play Viktor because he's a vampire, and all vampires are, by dint of being a vampire, they are cool. And Viktor, being senior vampire, is cool and has rank and power. I love all that stuff. I love it when it gets vampire technical. I love it when they discuss harnessing daylight in bullet form. I love to see a vampire sipping blood in a sophisticated manner. I like the whole dynamic of that stuff.
Is this kind of like continuous character that never changed through the ages. Bill knows the character and you just let him bring it out. He's created this character that's slightly on the edge of almost theatrical, almost grand guignol sometimes. But he's just always on that edge. There is a father side of Viktor in this story. In a sense, he had more of an opportunity to develop his character and again create an arc that's a bit bigger than what we had seen in the first one.
I'm very pleased that we went back in time for this one. Viktor's relationship with Sonja is about as close as normal as he gets, as he admires her as a warrior, as a fighter, as a creature, as a vampire, as much as his flesh and blood.
His daughter was the first really independent, fearless vampire.
It's a pretty powerful and important connection. He is apparently in two minds about some of the stuff that he gets up to. He mightily adores her. And he despairs of her, obviously, finally. I mean, this is a man who drinks his daughter's blood and then arranges for her to be burnt to toast. So, you know, it's not a normal day in family life. They are fantastical things to play.
In case it had escaped your notice, Blacksmith, I am quite capable of looking after myself. I met with Gary Lucchese at Lakeshore, who is a very integral man, and respected his taste and his idea of what he wanted to do with the third. I understood that, in fact, it was a prequel, and it was a complete departure, really, stylistically and in the character specifically.
Rona Mitra's a wonderful woman. She's very bright, very strong, very sexy, has sort of a sassiness to her, which works very well because, you know, this is a woman who even her father, Viktor, who's the strongest vampire around, can't seem to control her.
How you would act as a human and sort of disconnecting and disengaging that chip is interesting, but still being an emotional female, because I didn't want her to be cold, and she's not cold, but vampires can be. So it's just, you know, getting that blend of stuff right.
She brought a very primeval warrior in the character. Whatever beautiful she is, she also had this very strong warrior sense. She's very, very tough. We love to see a warrior female fighting, but also to relate to the character, you need to feel that those people have the same emotion than you do. I think there's a lot of that in Sonja in the movie, and I think in that sense, it's a very interesting character.
Everything's interesting about it. Creating the look was such a fundamental part of actually becoming the character that really I had to say that I made sure that was one place that I really tried to have a big say in.
It's nice now to actually go back and look at her as a character, as a person with emotions and skills and weaknesses and all the things that draw you to a character. The Raze character also died in Underworld, and here he is back again. So we've been doing a lot of resurrecting.
It is finished!
When we were developing the original story, we had ideas of Raze and Lucian meeting up way back when, and that Raze was somebody that Lucian trusted.
We see him at the beginning as a slave, and so you see the original Raze. He's lost in a world that's not his world until he becomes a creature himself.
I created Raze to be Lucian's right-hand man from the first film. Even though I'm playing a massive man, an enforcer, a kind of tough guy, you have to cook it down some, and you have to be willing to bring those quieter moments. Being kind of a big guy, you know, it's always good to get in there and, you know, rough and tumble. So in doing that, I've had a lot of fun. Bam,
Underworld. Bam.
He looks fantastic on screen, and the way I reveal him in a movie, I try to just do that thing where there's a moment where people don't know fully that's him, and then he reveals himself.
Humans upset. Tannis, please, take a note of what pain that brings me.
Tannis is the most Machiavellian of the characters. He's playing both sides.
Would your father welcome the man who brought him news that his beloved daughter was consorting with a Lycan?
Tannis was recreated for the script. The first draft didn't have it, and at the time we weren't quite sure if we could get him back. And I remember the day I heard he was available and we could have him. It was a real treat, because I really, really like him.
He's Viktor's eyes and ears, really. Tannis is very closely allied with Viktor, not because necessarily he likes him a lot, but because he's terrified of him. On any given day, Tannis could feel like, even though he's his right-hand man, this could be one slip and this could be the day that I die. So this opportunity that arises in this film, information suddenly becomes power. And so it's like, well, now I can maybe use this and give myself some more status and maneuverability and maybe get a little higher up the chain of command and possibly survive longer.
For Steven, it is totally a reinvention. And what's great about him is you realize how much, as an actor, he can depict, even within the same character, show you a totally different thing.
Careful, blacksmith, lest your eyes betray your secret.
Everybody opened the door for me to put my vision out there. Actually, the same way, on my end, I just made sure that they could bring the character they wanted to bring.
A miracle, Father. A union of the bloodlines.
I curse the day your mother gave her life to bring you into this world. That thing inside you is a monstrosity.
All the elements are in place. These movies look tremendous, and they look satisfyingly original. They don't quite look like anything else.
We take it back into a period which is sort of ambiguous, really, you know, and that's the wonderful freedom you have in this world and in this genre. There's a story which hasn't been told in the other two, which is this really core love story.
The tone of Underworld 3 is very much of Romeo and Juliet social difference. I've always created those barriers that people are fighting against all the time. It's a very classic theme, and that's great because it's eternal.
Performances are very strong, the visual look is very strong, the world of the piece is very strong. In some ways, the first two films only just touched upon the surface of what, you know, these films can be. And I think this film is now sort of showing a bit more of what's underneath and a bit more delving into the history of it and showing the scope of it.
The history has always been a driving force of Underworld 1 and 2, and we've had glimpses going back in and seeing how it all started. Now to be able to actually play it out and see it, I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
It's an exciting story of a quest for freedom.
Illicit love stories, I think always sort of work.
It is a creature movie, it is a battle movie, it is a fighting movie, there's a lot of action, but I also felt there was some really charged emotional moment between those two characters.
There's no process of finding out the past through this film. This is the story itself.
It is finished.
No. This is just the beginning.